has passed away at the age of 86 years old. He was surrounded by his family. And today, Los Angeles is remembering one of the most iconic sports figures in the history of this town, and certainly in the history of the NBA, Jerry West. Pepe Mantilla is here. Michael Thompson's here. And Ireland, you tease something.
So I told the story earlier about how Jerry West blocked the trade of Klay Thompson to Minnesota when the owner, Joe Lacob, was going to do it.
Yeah.
And saved the Warriors dynasty. Go back to the 1980s. So Michael was on the team.
No, I wasn't here yet.
Okay. So it was late 80s, but Michael got traded there in 87. So maybe it was around 86. Dallas had Mark Aguirre, and they had a young rookie, Roy Tarpley.
Two good players.
Who was basically unguardable. Mm-hmm. Nobody could figure out how to guard this Roy Tarpley. And Dr. Buss is playing poker one night with Donald Carter, the owner of the Mavericks. And they start talking, and the Donald Carter says to Dr. Buss, boy, I love James Worthy. I think that he's going to be a cornerstone for your franchise for another 10 years. He's just one of my favorite players in the league. He's great. And Dr. Buss says, he is great, but you've got a couple of guys that I love. You've got Mark Aguirre and Roy Tarpley.
And Mark Aguirre was best friends with Magic.
And so Dr. Buss mentions that, says, Mark Aguirre and Magic always wanted to play together, and I can't trade Magic. Would you ever consider trading me, Mark Aguirre, and or Tarpley? He goes, I would if you would give me James Worthy.
Right.
And they shook hands on it. And that was the trade. Mark Aguirre and Roy Tarpley to the Lakers and James Worthy to the Mavs.
Wow. And
the poker game breaks up, and he calls Jerry West. And Dr. Buss was not a meddler. He let his people do their own thing. He never did that type of thing. And so he goes, hey, I think I just got us Roy Tarpley and Mark Aguirre. And Jerry West goes, what? For who? Who we have to give up? He goes, just one guy, James Worthy. And Jerry West said, Dr. Buss, that's a terrible trade. James Worthy's better than Mark Aguirre, and Roy Tarpley has a drug problem. We know about it, and most people know about it. I mean, he's heading for a crash. And Dr. Buss goes, well, I already gave Donald Carter my word. He goes, well, call him back. Get us out of this. I can't stay here as the GM if you make that deal. And Dr. Buss goes, okay, let me see if I can get out of it. And he calls Donald Carter back. And he says, Don, we shook hands on it, and I'll honor the deal if you hold me to it. But I have Jerry West as my GM. He's the best GM in the league, and he says he's going to resign if I do this trade. So with your permission, I'd like to back out of it. Mm-hmm. And Donald Carter said, Jerry, because you came at me this way and you were honest, of course I'll back out. And that's how close James Worthy was to being traded to Dallas. And think about it. So right after that was, Michael, you came, 87 finals, 88 finals, 89 finals, 91 finals, all with Worthy. And, Michael, you believe to this day that had Worthy not been hurt in 91, I mean, not very many people agree with you, but you think that if Worthy wouldn't have been hurt, the Lakers beat the Bulls in 91, right?
Yeah, James was our best player at the time. He went down after Game 1. After we won Game 1 in Chicago with an ankle injury, he was done for the finals, and we couldn't beat a full-loaded Bulls team without him. But I thought I'll take it to my grave. If he was healthy, Jordan would have 5 rings, not 6.
Pepe Mentilla's here. Pepe, how'd you get the news today, and how you feeling about it?
I'm very sad because not only you guys talk about how great he was as a player, as a general manager, as everything. He was a great person to me all the time. And in my business, when you do sports in Spanish, not everybody look at you and give you the recognition that you deserve, whether it's this little or this much. Dr. Jerry Buss was one of them, and Jerry West was the other. Jerry was talking to me all the time. He was asking, how you doing? How's the Latino audience? Is it growing? I mean, like, such a gentleman, such a good soul. I mean, down to earth. He never tried to say, I'm Jerry West, you're nothing.
Yes.
And a lot of people do that.
Michael, when you go, what do you want people to say about you when you're gone?
I'm a better person than Pepe Ventillo.
I think.
I don't know that news is going to come out.
I don't think so either. No, I guess it just that he was a nice guy and treated everybody with respect. That's all you can ask
very
anybody
close
to say.
to. So I found this clip. Paul George has a podcast. And because Jerry was working for a consultant with the Clippers, he agreed to go on the podcast. And Paul George asked him, when you're gone, when you pass away, how do you want people to remember you? And Jerry gave the same answer I think I would give. Here it is.
If I had my way, somebody, when, we're all going to not be here for a long time, or you guys are going to be here for a long time, but I have often thought, what would I like for people to think about me? Mm-hmm. He was a good guy and he cared. That would be it. Mm-hmm. Nothing more, nothing less.
And I think that's a great legacy. He was a good guy, and he cared. And, Michael, I don't know if anyone cared more than Jerry West did. He wore it on his face. Yeah. I mean, I told the story earlier that he couldn't even watch the games in person because he couldn't take it. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think he was so offended by the portrayal of him in Winning Time, because he came off like he was off the rails crazy guy.
Clownish.
Yeah, and I think the guys who made that show confused how much he cared, how passionate he was with him going crazy. He just wanted to win more than other people did. Right. I mean, when they lost, it physically. I mean, every once in a while you'll come across people like this in your life. They get physically ill when they lose. Mm-hmm. They have to win. It's part of their makeup. And Jerry West was one of those guys.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to do a little sports graffiti.